Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a animation for our 2D character. Now there are different ways to do this, but the one I'll be using is going to be the sprite sheet animation. Simply we're going to have a set of images represent our character and we're going to combine them to make our animation. In the previous video about making a character controller, we used this Honeyland asset and it already comes with a sprite sheet, so we are going to use it in this video. Link in the description. First of all, we're going to use our animator controller, which help us to set our animation and control them. I'm going to the folders. I'm going to create an animator folder, and for the animation I'm going to create a new animator controller. We're going to need to add the component animator for our character. We're going to assign our animator, and by double click we will open the animator tab. As you can see, we have an empty animator since we don't have animation. We go into the animation tab, which is simply we can open by going to the tabs, add tab, animations. Now simply since we don't have any animations, we're going to add them. We will start off by creating the idle animation. As you can see, the moment I created the animation, it automatically creates an idle animation in our animator, which automatically holds the created animation. Now we need to start animating. As we said, our Sunnyland asset already contains sprite sheets, which you can find in Artwork Sprite Player. I'm going to start using these idle animations, which as you can see, they are separated images representing each state of the character. I can simply select our images and drag them to our animation, and as you can see, there are keys that are automatically created. We're going to lower the frame. In this case, you can put it in 12 or 50. And when we go to our scene, go to animation, we will play. As you can see, our idle animation already set. I'm going to do the same for other animations. If we are going to check an animation, this is the idle, and this is the jump, and this is the run. Now we need to make sure that animation settings are actually set. We need to have the idle have a loop time, so it always loop, not only play one time. Same for the run, but I don't want the jump animation to loop, so I'm going to disable that. And we're going to go to our animator. You can see that each animation has a state machine for it. Now automatically you can see the entry state making a transition to our idle animation, and it is orange, meaning whenever we play our game, this animation is going to be the default that's going to start every time we play our game. You can set it to run or jump, but this will be the default that will first start. Now in order to play the other animations, we want to make transition for them. You can simply make transition. Let's just say to our running animation. We're going to click our transition and we can mess with this. Now we don't want the has exit time, because this basically we're going to wait to end this animation and then start the other one. Now usually in 3D games this is good, but in our case we want our instance transaction for the second animation, so we don't want either has exit time or the transition donation to 0. This way it will instantly start our next animation, and we need a condition. First of all, I'm going to our parameters. I'm going to add a new parameter. I'm going to make it a float. I'm going to call it speed. And when we want to transition from the idle to the run animation, I want my speed to be greater than 0. And of course, if we want to make transition to the running animation, we want a way to go back, else we will stuck in our running animation. So I want to make a transition from running to idle. I'm going to set the same settings we're going to do. No exit time, 0 transition duration. And when I want our animation to go from running to idle, I'm going to make the speed less than 0.01. Now, in order to our player to actually transition and control our parameter of the animator, we want to do that through our script. As you can see, this is our script. I'll be starting off to define an animator for us. We're going to use this to control and set the parameters in our animator. Now, since I want to set the speed, we're going to set anim. Now what I simply did here, that I'm going to set the float speed parameter in our animator, and you need to make sure that it is match case, because string is actually case sensitive. So speed with capital letter, it should exist same as this, a capital S, because it's case sensitive. So I can't write a smaller S speed. And I use the math.add, so our horizontal is always positive. Let's test this out. I'm going to assign our animator in our script, and let's test. As you can see, the first animation start running is the idle. If we go to animator, we can see it looping. If I want to move, as you can see, it start doing the running animation. Of course, our player is actually too slow. This doesn't have to do with the actual animation. I can change the speed from here. As you can see, I jump, but still the running animation is the one play. This is when we're going to make the jump animation. We're going to go to the animator, and we have the any state here. Now the any state allows us to make a transition to a certain animation from basically any state. So whether I am in running animation or in idle, I will be able to make a transition to the jump animation. Of course, I'm going to apply the same setting that doesn't have exit time and 0 duration transition. And here I'm going to need a condition. I'm not going to use our speed parameter, but I'm going to add another one, which is going to be a boolean. I'm going to leave it false by default. I want us to go to the jump animation if we are jumping, which is jump equal true. Good. Now if I did that alone, we're going to stuck in the jump animation. So we want to make transition to the idle or run animation, depending on our state. So we want to go from jump animation to run as long as 2 condition is met. We can put as many conditions as we want. In this case, we want to check that we are not jumping, so jump is actually false. And our speed is greater than 0. That means that we are moving. And for going to our idle, we're gonna check that our speed is less than 0 or 0.1, and we are not jumping. Good. Now this is what we need currently. So we're gonna go to our code. We want to set our boolean for the animation. So what I did here, that since our parameter is a boolean, we're going to set bool. We're going to put the name of our parameter. Remember, it is case sensitive, so we need to match the name. And since we already have a function that check if we are on the ground or no, the on the ground return a true if we are on the ground and return false if we are not. So I need the exact opposite of it. This is why I use the operator for that. So if we are on the ground, is on the ground return true, which is mean false that we are not jumping. And if we are jumping, is on ground return false, which is mean true that's probably we are jumping or in the air. Let's test this out. As you can see, I jump and it works fine. Now you can see that only one frame is actually moving from our jump animation. If we go to our jumping animation, we can see that there are 2 frames, but only one of them is being played. This is because when we go to our transition, we can go to the settings and there is